Welcome, welcome, welcome again. Hey, NC in the building. And I think I got some of my Buffalo crew on here as well. But we are live and in living color now on Instagram and on YouTube. And send it to your friends, let them know. I do want to make an announcement. I don't think I'm going to post the replays on Instagram moving forward, but you can always catch them from my website, bit.ly/TL collaborative help, all lowercase. And you can subscribe there as well to get updates and information. But we're going to go ahead and get started. I want to welcome you to Mindful Moments. As you've heard already, I'm Tawana, and every Thursday at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time, I'm here to really just pause on purpose and to align and reimagine how we actually live, love, and lead in real life. And so let's just go ahead and take a breath and let's get right into it. But today's topic is um, who qualified you, right? And I want to think about a time, or have you ever had a moment when talking to someone, you feel like you're under a constant microscope, like that person has made it their sole job to save you by pointing out your flaws or trying to fix you. And their goal in every interaction with you is to make sure that you know how messed up you are and not to worry though, because they have a fix for it. And you walk away every single time, or you walk away feeling like, who qualified you? Like, you're thinking, what makes you feel like you're the one to say what my flaws are, and that whatever you say has to be truth? Like, for real, who qualified you? And if I'm being honest, I have that moment and have had that moment in my life where I've walked away feeling like this. Like, who do you think you are? Um, why do you think that you have the right to say this? And I'm feeling like I have to prove myself to them so they can see that I'm fixed now and accept me because I've acted on your advice. And notice, even though I was taken aback and I questioned like who qualified them, it still took a hit on my self-worth. And now, if I'm really being transparent in this space, because that's what this is for, as I was journaling and processing this in my prayer time, I actually had a realization that I've acted the same way towards others. And as I was realizing that, that really stung. And God was so patient, however, to use my interactions and my feedback from others for me to see this same behavior in me. So then I had to stop and ask, who qualified me? And yes, I am qualified in lots of areas, but one of them is not to make people feel less than or judge them in areas where there is room for growth. And in fact, I know I'm not qualified in these areas. And Matthew 7, verse 1, if you're looking in the CEB version, it sums it up for us. It says, don't judge so that you won't be judged. I mean, could it be any clearer than that? And I think that sometimes we use our wisdom and our experience to make us pseudo saviors, and we stand over others using our lens gained through our experience and through our wisdom to condemn rather than to care. And if we look at the Bible and we look at Romans chapter 2, verse 1, and I recorded that from the NLT version, it warns us of this. Um, so it says, you may think you can condemn such people, but you are just as bad, and you have no excuse when you say they are wicked and must be punished. You are condemning yourself, for who judge others do the very same things. Now, just because I have been through and arrived at a place does not mean I should expect others or expect someone else to be there. I think it's fitting to go back to Matthew 7 again, but let's look at it at the message version because that really does spill it out and spell it out. But this time, let's take it a little bit deeper and go through Matthew chapter 7, verse 1 through 5. And I'll read it word for word here. I have it recorded on my screen for me. Don't pick on people, jump on their failures, criticize their faults, unless, of course, you want the same treatment. That critical spirit has a way of boomeranging. It's easy to see a smudge on your neighbor's face and be oblivious to the ugly sneer on your own. Do you have the nerve to say, let me wash your face for you, when your own face is distorted by contempt? Is this whole traveling road show mentality all over again, playing holier than thou part instead of just living your part? Wipe that ugly sneer off your own face, and you might be fit to offer a washcloth to your neighbor. Now, notice I said, I've been through and arrived at a place, which means there is a journey. And I might be fit to offer my neighbor a washcloth, not point out the dirt or walk away and then walk away, not wash their face for them, but offer them a tool for it. Now, having been through and arrived at a place, it I am now qualified for something, and it's not to say I know better because of my degrees or my titles or my experience, but I am now qualified. Better yet, I'm responsible to provide tools and an environment that provides space for others to make mistakes and to grow. And I'm qualified to provide others with the same space I needed to develop and arrive where I've gotten to, while understanding I'm still becoming. So I'm not perfect and I didn't arrive and now this is this final destination and I'm the end all and no all. No. So I'm asking you, who qualified you? It's one thing to see fault, it's another thing to help someone through it. It helps no one just to call out the fault. Think about what's your goal when you're talking to others and you're identifying areas where you see room for growth. In most cases, there's three levels of awareness. One, chances are the person is not even aware that they need improvement. Two, they may be aware, but they don't know where to start or they don't know what they need to improve. Or three, they are aware and they're working on it. They just haven't arrived there yet. But in either case, criticism is not needed, or at least negative criticism is not needed. It's one thing to give good feedback. And if I can just interject here for just a moment, if you are in one of those phases right now, and truth be told, we all are because we are still becoming, it is important to know just because someone sees or calls out your fault in you doesn't mean they arrived and you now have to catch up. Remember, it's easier to see others. We rarely look at ourselves, literally. We walk throughout our entire day looking at people more than we are looking at ourselves. We see ourselves in the mirror in the morning, maybe, in the afternoon, possibly, and at night, occasionally. You see, what I'm trying to get you and get us here to reflect is on the tension between being qualified by degrees, titles, or even earned wisdom versus being truly qualified by humility of growth and the responsibility to nurture others. And if we go to the Bible, in Second Corinthians 3, chapter 3, verses 1 through 2, and then going to 5, this really did hit for me, and I'm gonna read it to you in this. And I was just like, whoa, when I read it, and so I'm gonna read it to you exactly from the NLT version. Again, it's First Corinthians chapter 3, verses 1 through 2, and then I'm gonna jump to verse 5. But it says, "Are we beginning to praise ourselves again? Are we like others who need to bring you letters of recommendation or who ask you to write such letters on their behalf? Surely not. The only letter of recommendation we need is you yourselves. Your lives are a letter written in our hearts, excuse me. Everyone can read it and recognize it, our good work among you. It is not that we think we are qualified to do anything. This is moving down to verse 5. It is not that we think we are qualified to do anything on our own. Our qualifications come from God. So let's discuss how we do what we are qualified to do, which is to make space for others to grow through the lens of our experience and wisdom. That's what we're qualified to do. And I want to talk about this through the interactions of Jethro and Moses in Exodus. Now, and I'm going to be looking at Exodus chapter 18, verses 14 through 17, and then I'll jump down to 23. and I'll be looking at it through the NLT version. But in context, in case you don't know who Jethro is Moses's father-in-law. And as we know, has been commissioned to by God to lead the people of Israel out of captivity. And so Jethro is observing Moses in this leadership role and what he's doing here. And so it reads as this. Again, I'm in Exodus chapter 18, verses 14 through 17, and then I'm going to jump down to 23. If you're joining, go ahead and put in the chat where you're joining from, and be sure to share it out. But it says, when Moses' father-in-law saw all that Moses was doing for the people, he asked, "What are you really accomplishing here? Why are you trying to do all this alone while everyone stands around from morning till evening?" Moses replied, "Because the people come to me to get a ruling from God. When a dispute arises, they come to me, and I am the one who settles the case between the quarreling parties. I inform the people of God's decree, and I give them his instructions." "This is not good," Moses' father-in-law exclaimed. "You are going to wear yourself out, and the people too. This job is too heavy a burden for you to handle all by yourself. Now listen to me, and let me give you a word of advice, and may God be with you. You should continue to be the people's representative before God, bringing their disputes to him." Jethro gives Moses, if you think about this, here he's talking to Moses, and then in between verses 17 through 23, Jethro gives Moses some advice through wisdom and experience, and he kind of talks to him about, the way that he should go about doing it, and that's through his knowledge of wisdom and experience. But then he seals this piece of advice in verse 23, and it says, "If you follow this advice, and if God commands you to do so, then you will be able to endure the pressures, and all these people will go home in peace." Now, I want to give you 3 practical applications that I put from this text on how we do what we are qualified to do. And as a reminder, what we are qualified to do is make space for others to grow and develop through the lens of our wisdom and experience. Here's tip number 1. Frame the problem, not the person. See, the issue with labeling the person is the issue without labeling the person, see the issue without labeling the person. But Jethro saw the fault in the situation, not in Moses. Jethro didn't label Moses as the problem. He first asked the why behind Moses's behavior. He saw Moses, he valued Moses and what he was doing. He didn't conclude the fix without understanding the why there. Jethro named the issue in the system. "This is not good," he said. "You will wear yourself out, and the people too." He separated Moses' identity from the dysfunction of the setup. He didn't blame, he didn't shame, he didn't fault Moses. Now, when I saw the word fault, it took me back to something else. I wasn't thinking like, "Oh, you did it." It was more so I thought about it in the science term. As you all know, if you don't know, I used to be a science teacher for many years. And so in geology, a fault is a break in the Earth's crust where 2 rocks shift. So they come together and they shift together, and that crack in the rocks, that shift in the rock, that space in between, is called a fault. And the rock itself isn't the problem, it's the pressure that causes the break. Now, if we confuse the rock with the fault, we miss the bigger picture. And that's the same with people. We don't label the person as broken. The break is in the process. We see the break in the process, the strain in the system, and we help name that instead. All right. Number 2, the second practical tip about what you are qualified to do is carry the care, not fix, not the fix. Carry the care and not the fix. Jethro's advice wasn't just about Moses sharing the task. It was about him shifting his posture. He didn't say, "You need to do this and you need to do that and you better do this and this is how you do it, and this is how we get rid of that or fix it." He took on the responsibility of care. And caring doesn't mean stepping in to fix someone based on your view of what's wrong. Fixing can leave people dependent on you, and that is another type of weight to carry. Carrying requires a carry. And carrying means you shoulder some of the weight with them so they're strengthened to grow because you have the knowledge and you have the wisdom and you have the experience. To carry means to empower. It says, I've been there. Let me help you walk until you are able to do it on your own. Not let me walk for you, because then no learning happens in that process, no growth happens in that process, and nobody is empowered. Sustainability comes from you carrying people, not from rescuing them. It comes from walking alongside them in a way that helps them to rise. And here is practical point number 3: offer wise counsel with room for confirmation. Notice when Jethro sealed it in verse 23, he says, if you follow this advice, and if God commands you to do so, he knew that his wisdom was not the final word. He pointed Moses back to God, who was the qualifier. Jethro didn't force his opinion on Moses. He said, if you follow this advice, and if God commands you to do so, this here is wise counsel with margin. In practice, it means we share our perspectives without making it the final word. We're not someone's savior, and we're not to use our wisdom and our experience to become a pseudo savior to say, I know better. It is the experience and the wisdom that we have to know that others' path may look different than ours, or may be directly different than ours, the things that they come across, but we know they're going to come across things. So we help to guide them when they come across those things. We don't know exactly what they're going to be. And this is so different from people who impose their advice as absolute. True wisdom advises but doesn't impose. It respects that other person has their own next step. We can give the advice, what it says, you can lead on the water, but you can't make them drink it. And so sometimes we take on the responsibility of, you have to do this, you must do this. This is how I fixed you, but our job is not to fix. It is now we're qualified for walking alongside others and providing them with the space and opportunity to make mistakes and to grow, and being able to guide them through our wisdom and our experience. So when you're asked who qualified you, I want you to remember this. We're not qualified to judge, to condemn, or fix. We are qualified to frame problems with clarity, to carry care with responsibility, and to offer wisdom with humility. Because when we do that, we're not just managing moments, we're not supervising people, we're guiding our children if we're parents, and we're building systems of sustainability. And that is how we live and we love and we lead sustainable. Well, that is it. That is all I have for this moment, but I do want to thank you for tuning in. I want to say that I'll see you next Thursday, same time, 12:30 Eastern Standard Time, for another mindful moment. You can catch the replays. I do not think at this moment I'm going to be continuing to place the replays on hey on YouTube, on Instagram, but I will place links so that you can find them. So in my bio, you can see the links to find them, but they will be on my website where you can get the demand. And that website is bit.ly/TL collaborative help, all one word, no space. And it's all lowercase for you to get it. I also have a special announcement. Mindful Moments Reset Series will be available mid-September. Now, this is a self-guided workbook series built from these real mindful moments that you guys been tuning in for. And it's designed to help you unpack what you've been surviving and really rebuild what you will sustain for your life, for your home, and your leadership at your own pace. And so visit that same link. It's scrolling across the screen on YouTube, so that you can get on the wait list and be the first to get access. Again, that's bit.ly/TL collaborative help, all lowercase, no spaces. But again, thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next Thursday. Be sure to subscribe for all updates. Again, this is not for views or for likes, but it is to be able to help others live more sustainable and step out of that survival mode. So if this helped you, then make sure you share it with your crew. Thank you, and God bless.